Oops. Okay, it's 2:00. We will call the Plant Equipment Committee meeting to order. Do we have any public or committee comments? Okay, move to item 3, dedication of facilities, Town Place Suites.
This item is going to be postponed because I did not receive the dedication paperwork back from them yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, move to item 4, well 33, status update.
Best Drilling and Pump finished their work out there the second week of August. So staff has been working since then on flushing and disinfecting the well, and we'll soon be sampling it to get it put back online. It's pumping just fine.
Perfect.
Yep.
Any questions or comments on well 33? Okay. Okay, item 5, Inyo Current Road Transmission Pipeline Repair Update.
I reached back out to Steve Miller with WECA to get an updated fusible PVC. He did provide the one for the HDPE, which was around 4.7 million. As well as staff is currently putting together a price sheet for doing the work in-house as well.
Okay, and that's using 24-inch?
24-inch bell and spigot
59.
PVC.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Do we have an update on the cost?
We're working on all those prices. Hopefully Steve said he was gonna have it last week, but, you know, he's still waiting on suppliers. So I'm hoping he'll have it to us this week as far as the fusible PVC. And staff has given themselves a deadline of this Friday to get prices together for doing it in-house.
Okay, so we'll have some information for our meeting on Monday?
I hope so.
I
it-
noticed there was something in the Monday's agenda that talked about DWR funding through AB 102.
Sure. That's the $3 million that Shannon Groves got us. So there is an agreement, a resolution authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with the Department of Water Resources to receive that $3 million.
Oh, okay. So it's the same $3 million that we've been
Yeah.
talking about. Okay. I brought up at our last meeting the Springer pipeline, and Chuck convinced me that the Inyo pipeline was the highest priority, and we shouldn't be worried about the Springer at this point in time. I guess my feeling is that at some point in time, if we can't get funding for that Inyo pipeline, then what we're going to need to do is start looking at other areas to spend the $3 million. And it was always my understanding that the Springer pipeline was to basically make the southwest well field better utilized. That is, to bring the water in from that area so that we could actually service a greater number of our residents. And because there was a risk of other elements of our system going down. And at this point in time, that risk is a reality. Yeah. So my feeling is at some point in time, not this month or next month probably, but soon thereafter, if we can't finalize or get a better feel for what the Inyo pipeline is going to be, we need to consider using that $3 million for that Springer enlargement. But it's currently like 12 inches or something, and they
16.
want to increase it to 24?
It's just a bottleneck, so it
It's
just,
a bottleneck, right. So in my mind, in terms of risk reduction, we might be better off, depending upon how sure we are of getting funding for the Inyo pipeline and how long it's going to take. So that is, if it's going to take us 5 or 6 or 7 years to get the Inyo line back up, spending some interim money on the Springer enlargement might be a good idea, if you see what I'm saying.
Well, my opinion is, Stan, that we need to have the in-your-kern lineup by April or May of next year before summer hits again, or we could be in trouble.
So we are-
That is our priority, in my opinion, is getting the in-your-kern line fixed. It doesn't mean that Springer's not important.
We have to get that
We have
in
to
your
get
ride
Springer-
back.
But we have to get in-your-kern back up so we can distribute to all of our A zones, and we have our correct system in place. So whatever we have to do, if we have to do it in-house, if we have to put some kind of patches on the lines, we've got to make sure that we can't go 5 years without that line in operation. So it would be too much on our arsenic plants, too much dependability on all of the other existing wells that we have.
Agreed, it puts more weight on the southwest well field, and, which is not good. But at this point in time, you know, the last numbers I got range from $5 million to $17 million, and our budget only included $5 million. So I'm only suggesting, I'm not against, I'm all in favor of getting it solved by April of next year. We've got a long way to go in order to do that. And I guess I would hope that the staff would keep us well informed of what the issues are and what the options are and where the money's going to come from. And I apologize, first of all, to George for throwing him into this mess. That was not our intention, I assure
No,
you.
I just had a question real quick. So if that funding comes from the state, is it specified what use it has? I mean, a lot of times when these things come down, they're for specific uses, or is it just general fund money for us?
It had a broad requirement as water supply. So we went into it targeting the Inyo-Kern pipeline, that's what it's for, but it has a little broader application if it wasn't going towards.
But in general, staff is in agreement that we need to prioritize that Inyo-Kern pipeline, is that correct?
Absolutely.
The Northwest Transmission Pipeline is the #1 priority right now.
Yep.
Springer's a close second.
Yeah, and if indeed we can get a thing going, and I mean, quite frankly, I haven't seen us making a lot of progress with regard to schedule, funding, or anything else, or even a solid cost estimate. So,
Well, in my mind, we were waiting on the funding from the Navy that we applied for. And
Oh.
if that went through, then I think we would have been
Yeah.
on board right now and saying we're good. But that's why I requested if staff could look at it, which they had already done prior to me even making that suggestion, I guess. But if we could do it in-house, I really believe we can save
Yeah, there's
probably 60%.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys don't always see. We're having our own meetings to discuss our options and getting numbers together, so.
If I could say that if there's any good that came out of the Northwest Transmission Pipeline breaking, I'm going to say it, is that it did pull the veil back on some of the weaknesses in other areas of the system that we can address in the future.
okay. One last thing with regard to breaking pipelines is at one point in time, we were investigating a company or a contractor who could look at and measure, evaluate all the other pipelines that we've got in our system. I haven't heard a lot about that lately, but they were
We
apparently
don't have the
trying to
money
develop
for
a
that right
tool.
now. We are looking for getting a new price on that, and getting it into our next budget. It's cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, bringing up the budget, of course, is being on the budget committee, obviously the budget's a big deal, because we're somehow going to have to find $8 to $15 million. So anyway, I appreciate the staff's work trying to get something that that kind of holds together that we can get a feel for. Because eventually it's going to end up being Ty's problem with the budget. Let it go there, I guess. That was enough. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on Inyo-Kern Road? Okay, we'll move to Booster Station and Tanks Project.
All right, so the Motor Control Center, the MCC, as we've been referring to, was delivered last week and installed, and they've been working on the electrical for the booster station now. And in addition to that, the connection pipelines are being chlorinated and tested. So that's where we're at right now with the booster station. So now that everything's finally been delivered, they're going fast and furious out there on that.
Okay.
Now, at the college, we did get the pipe modifications completed for the old tank, and the pipe supports were poured last week, so then they did disinfection and flushing, and I believed they were sampled today for bacteriological analysis, so that's where we're at there. Any questions?
None, any questions? Okay. Move to item 7, arsenic treatment facilities update.
So we ran into an issue with Plant 1 with the recent storm that blew through. Because of a lack of storage area, the media was outside, so it is once again wet. So we'll be spreading, we're working on a system where we can lay it out, dry it out, and then, sift through it, so.
But because of the storm, we did free up some storage area when we gave the sandbags to the city for use, so we do have that now.
Yeah, we are working on it, and, I mean, we've made it through the summer, so we have the off-season to try to get these things online.
That should be good for next summer.
Do they make equipment for recycling that media and re-cleaning it and reusing it at all?
Most of the time, it just wears down on the backwashes to the point where it makes it through and goes into the FE tank and then into the system. But we just find when it breaks down, we have to pour new media in, and we just keep track on an annual basis of what the media level is.
Okay, yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, move to item 8, future agenda items.
I will keep Springer Pipeline on there, so when we do have something to update, that we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I don't know what committee is supposed to be working on the water storage contingency plan. We were going to get a draft of it at our last meeting, and ended up, it really wasn't a full draft. I don't know, what I've done is I've actually asked to have it put on our full-up meeting on Monday, because I think, we're supposed to be voting on that on November. And right now, we're getting real close to November. I guess I'm not exactly sure how much lead time the public is supposed to have for that hearing, but we're probably getting close. So I don't know if it's appropriate for this committee or not, but I would like to see some committee working on it, and I will bring that up at the board meeting on Monday night.
We discussed it at last Thursday's meeting, and so I'm sure we will discuss it Monday night, correct?
I'm not sure it was gonna go on the agenda or not. We're still waiting for review. We did a red line, and then I sent it to KNS. They're supposed to finish this week with their review. And then I think according to Jim, the hearing is in November, and I think it has to go out by maybe a month before. Is it 45 days? Yeah, 45 days, so
Okay.
beforehand.
Okay.
So it's probably more appropriate for the Water Management Committee
Yeah,
to take a look
that's
at
where
that.
we kind of discussed it, and
I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure somebody is looking at it and that they're 45 days from November. This is September. We've only got October between then, so 45 days is coming right up, and we need to make sure that we don't let that slip.
Yeah, we'll touch base with Jim and make sure we get it on the appropriate agenda and get it out beforehand, so.
okay, any other comments?
Well, the next month's meeting is going to be too late, right? The October board meeting isn't 45 days. Before right now, the plan is to have a hearing and approve it in November, but we haven't
Right.
seen it.
Right. And I think that it can go, when is the Water Management Committee meeting?
It'll be till the 8th.
It'll be too late then, yeah. Yeah, it was just brought to our attention today, your request for that, and I think that Lauren was checking with Jim whether or not we needed to get it on the agenda for Monday, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you know, like, if we're already, it probably should have been passed with the budget in June, I believe. So we're already late. Postponing it till December, I don't see as being a big deal. I'm more concerned about the public having
Yeah.
a full 45 days to review it than I am worrying about the difference between being 5 months late or 6 months late.
Right, it could probably be postponed to December without any issue,
Okay.
if necessary.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we will adjourn this meeting at 2:15.